We live in an era where audiences are constantly bombarded with raw facts and data. Millions of headlines update by the second, pouring out isolated pieces of information completely stripped of their surrounding context. Traditionally, we rely on photojournalism to ground these facts in reality. But a camera has a strict limitation. It can only capture a literal fraction of a second in physical space. It regularly fails to capture invisible contexts, slow-moving trends, or abstract systems. A photograph of commuters wearing medical masks flawlessly documents the physical reality of a global health crisis. It cannot, however, capture the deep psychological trauma of isolation or the intricate economic collapse happening in the background. This gap is filled by the editorial illustrator. As specialized visual journalists, their job is to bypass text and distill massive, invisible global complexities into a single, undeniable image. Editorial illustration does not replace the news. It engineers the vital context that a camera lens inherently leaves out. When breaking news requires pure, uncompromised factual accuracy, illustrators deploy the first tier of their discipline, ontological truth. This tier is strictly reserved for subjects that are physically real but exist outside the reach of a camera lens, like the exact morphology of a newly discovered virus or the precise architecture of a distant cosmic event. Look at this 3D model of a microscopic cellular structure. To build this, illustrators rely on hard scientific data, acting as a bridge translating dense peer-reviewed research into public understanding. The primary mandate here is exacting detail. In ontological illustration, there is absolutely no room for subjective interpretation or artistic flair. When reality is too small, too large, or too distant to see, these illustrations serve as the definitive anchor for human comprehension. The second tier is phenomenological truth. Here, the challenge shifts from drawing tangible objects to visualizing unseen systems, complex networks, and shared human experiences. Illustrators tackle this by using clean, functional design languages. They utilize maps, spatial diagrams, and flowcharts to make highly abstract concepts like global economic models or international trade routes instantly legible. This approach draws directly from historical movements like the Bauhaus. Its philosophy of form follows function gave illustrators the structural logic needed to take chaotic, sprawling information and give it shape. Phenomenological illustration takes the invisible systems that dictate our lives and forces them into a structured, readable order. The third tier is the fantastical. Illustrators turn to this approach when literal truth is insufficient to explain the weight of a political or social crisis. In this space, the rules of physics are discarded. Illustrators intentionally manipulate gravity, alter scale, and juxtapose completely unconnected objects to build powerful visual metaphors. By replacing the spike proteins of a virus with aggressive, pointing human hands, an illustrator can perfectly visualize the highly abstract concept of societal blame. By requiring us to suspend our disbelief, the illustration bypasses our logical defenses and triggers an immediate visceral reaction. Fantastical illustration abandons physical reality entirely to deliver a raw, emotional truth that text alone cannot achieve. We now navigate a digital landscape threatened by algorithmic manipulation, deepfakes, and weaponized misinformation. A highly engineered, thoughtfully constructed editorial cover interrupts that noise. It forces a scrolling viewer to stop, pause, and engage in cognitive reflection. Because these synthesized images carry so much dense meaning, they embed themselves deeply in our memory, acting as a permanent visual record of a transient cultural moment. A masterful editorial illustration serves as a vital defense mechanism against digital information overload. The sheer effectiveness of these images gives them immense power, carrying a heavy burden of responsibility for both the illustrator and the publisher. These visual metaphors frequently leap off the page. They are adopted directly by the public to mobilize global protests, subvert authority, and bypass state censorship. When these images violently clash with established societal boundaries, the resulting backlash can provoke severe and sometimes fatal consequences. By visualizing what is otherwise unreachable, editorial illustration serves as a persistent barometer for the shifting pressures of our communication age.